Dust shimmered in the high barn air, drifting in pale shafts of sunlight that cut through the open slats. The world outside was a hum of boots, murmurs and impatient spurs, but inside all sound narrowed to one desperate plea muffled beneath rough burlap. "Please open it. I can't breathe." Elias Boone knelt on the hard-packed dirt floor, his broad hands resting on the knotted rope cinched tight around the sack. His hat brim shadowed eyes lined by years of squinting against sun and regret. He had delivered calves, shouldered rifles, buried kin, yet never had he trembled as he did before a simple knot. The words inside the sack clung to him like smoke, staining everything he thought he knew of duty. The sheriff's voice still rang in his ears. Make her talk, Boone. Break her silence. The men outside had laughed, tossing wagers about how quickly she would beg for mercy. Elias had forced himself to nod, though something in his chest recoiled. And now here she sat before him, bound at wrists and ankles, her breath ragged and hot beneath the burlap that stank of mold and dust. For a long moment he only listened. The rasp of her lungs. The scrape of her heels shifting in straw. The fragile percussion of life pressing against suffocation. He felt a shame he could not swallow, a bitterness deeper than whiskey. At last he pulled the rope loose. The sack crumpled away, and air rushed in as though the barn itself exhaled. Her face emerged, flushed, damp, eyes burning with a mix of fear and defiance. She blinked against the sudden light, shoulders shuddering as if shaking off more than cloth. She was younger than he had imagined, though the lines of endurance carved across her features spoke of burdens older than her years. Her name, he recalled from the deputy's sneer, was Ayoka, a name carried from her people's tongue, a sound they spat with contempt. But here, uncovered, the name fit her, unyielding, rooted, alive. Elias reached for his canteen, holding it out. She hesitated, lips pressed tight, distrust flickering in her gaze. At length she accepted, tilting the tin to drink. Water slipped down her throat, her breath steadier now. When she lowered it, her eyes lifted to his with a clarity that unsettled him more than accusation. He saw not a prisoner but a soul forced to bear the weight of other men's verdicts. He thought of the sheriff's smirk, the town's gossip, the wagging tongues that had damned her before proof was spoken. And in that quiet gaze, he glimpsed something unbearable, his own reflection, a man who had bent to cowardice too many times. Outside, footsteps scraped closer. A man barked. "Boone, she talking yet?" Laughter followed, hard and ugly. Elias flinched, though Ayoka did not. Her wrists, bound tight, bore red welts. Slowly, he reached to brush the coarse rope away from her skin, not freeing her fully, not yet, but easing the bite. Her voice broke the silence, low and steady. "You don't have to believe me. Only to see me." The words lingered in the barn's dusty air, hanging between them like a promise neither had asked for yet both now carried. Elias drew in a slow breath, the knot in his chest tightening as the boots outside drew nearer. The barn door groaned against a shove, spilling a narrow beam of noon light across the dirt. Elias stepped instinctively in front of Ayoka, his frame casting her in shadow. Dust motes swirled between them, trembling in the sudden draft. He called out, his voice gruff but steady, "She ain't ready yet." The words bought seconds, maybe minutes, but each tick of silence felt borrowed. Behind him, Ayoka's breath had steadied into a rhythm less desperate, more deliberate. She sat upright despite the rope at her wrists, shoulders squared, chin lifted as if invisible eyes judged her still. Elias found himself listening not for her words but for her silence, a silence that seemed stronger than all the jeering outside. "You'll have to choose," she whispered, her gaze fixed on him, not the door. Her tone was not pleading but prophetic, as though she had long known men like him would face this crossroad. Elias felt heat crawl up his neck. His life had been a litany of half-choices, compromises made to keep his place in a world that gave little and demanded all. But now the weight of indecision pressed heavier than any rifle he had ever carried. A fist banged on the wood, rattling the frame. "Boone, open up. Sheriff's done waiting." Another voice. "Drag her out if you have to." Their laughter was sharp, like knives striking stone. Elias crouched, his hand brushing the knots at Ayoka's wrists. The rope was coarse, frayed with use, and her skin beneath was raw, ringed with red indentations. Her eyes closed briefly, as if preparing for whatever choice he would make. Something stirred in him then. Not desire, not pity, but recognition. She was fighting for breath, for dignity, the same way he had fought against the memory of his father's scorn, the town's whispers of cowardice, the nights he drank to bury both. The knife slid from his belt with a whisper of steel. The blade's edge bit the rope until it snapped, strands curling free. Ayoka's hands fell to her lap, palms raw but unbound. She flexed her fingers slowly, like a bird testing wings after long confinement. Elias spoke low. "When that door opens, don't bow. Let them see you." The hinges shrieked as the door swung wide. Harsh light flooded the barn, outlining the sheriff and 2 deputies framed against the blazing sky. They strode in, boots heavy, expecting submission. But what they found was a woman standing tall beside the cowboy meant to break her. The sheriff's smirk faltered. "What in hell's this, Boone?" His hand hovered near his holster, but his eyes betrayed uncertainty. The deputies glanced between one another, waiting for a cue that did not come. Ayoka stepped forward, her voice steady, carrying the cadence of a truth too long buried. "You bound me, mocked me, called me thief. But lies weigh heavier than rope, and yours are breaking." Her words filled the barn, resonant as a church bell. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The deputies shifted, discomfort flickering across their faces. The sheriff's jaw tightened, but he did not draw. Elias remained at her side, the quiet weight of his choice anchoring him more firmly than any badge. Together they walked toward the threshold, dust swirling in their wake, the sunlight widening to meet them. Beyond the door lay uncertainty, perhaps peril, but also a horizon unclaimed. Elias felt his chest expand, the taste of honor sharp and unfamiliar. And as they stepped into the glare, Ayoka did not look back.